Good afternoon. Last class we have been discussing about the programmable peripheral input-output port. In that, we have discussed about the architecture of this 8251. That means the different blocks present in the 8251 IC. Actually, it is an interfacing IC which is used to interface with the external device to our processor. Okay. Any kinds of processor can use this IC for interfacing operation and all. We have discussed about different blocks present in that IC. That is mainly three ports are the port A, port B, and port C, and we will divide the entire ports into two categories. One is group A, next one is group B. Group A means it include port A and the upper part of port C. Similarly, group B include port B and the lower part of port C. And we have discussed about the functions of that data bus buffer, read-write control logic. This is important. Okay, and and also how it will select the different ports based on the read-write control logic. So for selecting different ports, we are using two pins A0 and A1. Okay, in conjunction with RD bar, W bar, and CS. Okay, it will perform its operations, whether it is an input operation or output operations. And two more control blocks are there in that IC, group A and group B control. In that group A and group B get the control signal from the CPU and send the commands, corresponding commands to the individual blocks in that IC. That means individual ports in that corresponding IC. Okay. Here, as we discussed that, group A control will send control signal to port A and port C upper part. Okay. So group A control, as we discussed here, okay, that is this one. Group A control will send the control signal to port A and port C upper part. Similarly, group B also will send the control signal to port B and the lower pins of port C. Okay, that is PC3 to PC0 to PC3. Okay, so that is the duty of group A and group B control. And three ports are there. We have discussed that all these ports are 8-bit long. Okay, so port A is the, this is an 8-bit buffered IO latch. Here in port A, it can be programmed in mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. Different modes of operations are the in A8255 IC. We can discuss that. What are the different modes of operation in detail? Okay, so you just remember that in port A, it can be programmed by mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. Okay. Similarly, in port B, this is also an 8-bit buffer IO latch, input-output latch. Okay. It can be programmed by mode 0 and mode 1. Okay. Port A can be programmed by mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. And port B, it can be programmed by mode 0 and mode 1. Okay. Then last port C. Okay. Actually, this is an 8-bit buffer, unlatched buffer, input or output. Okay. And that means 8-bit unlatched buffer input and output latch, like that. Okay, so actually this port C, we will split that into two: port C upper and port C lower. We have discussed that port C upper and port C lower. In port C, it can be programmed by a mode called bit set or reset operation. We can discuss what are the different modes and all. Okay, so these are the different ports in the 8255 IC. Port A, port B, and port C. All are 8-bit, but port C, it will be divided into two. It can be programmed either two 4-bit lines or in a single 8-bit line. Okay, that is in the case of port C. Okay, so this is the port 8255 IC. In your syllabus it is not mentioned, but just for understanding purpose you just look it. Okay, it is a 40-pin IC. Okay, so the D0 to D7, this is the data bus connection. Okay, and these are the port A pins, that is PA1, PA2, PA3, PA4, 5, 6 and 7, and these are the port B pins. Okay, 0, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 port B pins, and these are port C pins. Okay, and this is our A0 and A1 pin for port selection. This is ground, then CS, that is chip selection, read bar for read operation, write bar for write operation, and reset pin. Okay, so you just understand this. In your syllabus it is not mentioned, so I think no need to study the pin diagram. Okay, you just understand these are the different ports, these are the different pins available in this 8255 IC. Okay, now we can discuss the different modes of operation of 8255. Okay, different modes, this is important. Okay, different modes of operation of 8255. Actually, we can in 8255 it will mainly operate in two modes. Okay, it has two modes of operation. Mainly we can divide the mode of operation into two sections. Okay, 8255 has two modes of operations. One is bit set or reset mode. Simply we will call it as BSR mode. Okay, we will call it as BSR mode, bit set or reset mode. Okay, in bit set or reset mode, actually this mode is only for port C. It is exclusively for port C. That means in this mode port C can be used to this, by using this mode port C can be used to set or reset its ports. Okay, it can set or reset its ports in this mode, bit set reset mode. Okay, so bit set reset mode is exclusively for port C. Okay, for used for setting or resetting the is resetting each line in that port. Okay, bit set reset. The next mode is IO mode, or we can call it input output mode. Okay, IO mode. In IO mode, 8255 ports works as a programmable IO ports. Okay, and also in IO mode has three different modes of operation. IO mode is itself has three different modes of operation. We will call it as mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2. Okay, mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2. Okay, so these are the different modes: bit set reset mode, or we will simply call BSR mode, and next is IO mode. This IO mode is further classified into three different modes of operation, that is mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2. Okay. Now we can discuss bit set reset. Okay. So bit set reset mode. As we already studied that this mode is available only on port C. Okay. Bit set reset mode is available only on port C. In this mode, each line of port C that is from line number PC0 to PC7, okay, can be set or reset by writing suitable values to the control word register. Okay, we can set or reset the lines present in the port C, okay, by writing corresponding values to the control word register. Okay. So this is the format for control word register in BSR mode. Okay, so this is the format. The control word register format. Okay. There are 8 bits are there in this control word register. Okay, and in BSR mode, bit is D7. Okay, it will always 0. Okay, in DSR mode. But in case of IO mode, there are 2 modes are there. We discussed that. In IO mode, the bit number D7 will be 1. Okay, but in BSR mode, that means bit set reset mode, D7 bit will be 0. Okay, it will treat as 0. Okay, whenever the control register D7 bit is 0 means it is operated in bit set reset. Okay, so that is the first bit D7. It will be 0 for BSR mode. Okay, then next 3 bits, that is D6, D5 and D4. Okay, it is not used in BSR mode. Okay, it is not used. So that will treat as a don't care. Okay, don't care. D6, D7, D5 and D4. Okay, so in BSR mode, the control word register D6, D5 and D4 are not used. So that is why it is don't care. Okay, and D3 and here D3, D2 and D1. Okay, so these 3 bits are used to select the particular line in the port C. Okay, that is D3, D2 and D1. These 3 bits are used to select the particular lines. Okay, there are 8 lines are there. So for selecting that particular line, it will be used these 3 bits, D3, D2 and D1. Okay, and the last bit, that is D0th bit. So this bit is used to set or reset that corresponding port lines. Okay, if you represent it as 1, then it will be on set. If you represent it as 0, then it will be reset. Okay, so this is the control word register format for BSR mode. Okay, that means there are 8 bits are there in the control word register. Okay, the most significant D7 bit will be 0, or it will be always 0 in case of BSR mode, and D6 to D4, D6, D5 and D4, these are not used in 8255 IC, and D3 and D2. Okay, sorry, D3, D2 and D1. These 3 bits are used for selecting a particular line in the port C, and D0 bit is used to set or reset that particular line. Okay, so this is the control word register format for bit set reset mode operations. This is what I have explained, that is D7 bit, it will always 0 for BSR mode, and bit D6, D5 and D4 It's don't care bits. That means it is not used for VSR mode of operation. And D3, D2, D1. This one, D3, D2, D1. These are used to select a particular pin in the port C. And D0 is used to set or reset the selected pin of the port C. D0 is used to set or reset the selected pin. Okay, so this is the bit selection logic. That means if all these three bits, that is D3, D2, and D1, all these three bits are 0, means it will be selected the port 0. That is PC0. Okay, it will select PC0. And if it is 001, then it is selecting port 1. That means PC1, line number 1. Okay, then 010, PC2, 011, PC3, 100, PC4, 101, PC5, 110, PC6, and 111, PC7. Okay, so based on this value, it will select a particular lines in the port C. Okay, then if you want to set that particular line, then you have to put 1 in the D0 bit. Okay, that this is an example here. You can see that means suppose P5 line, you need to set a P5 line in the 8255 PC5. You need to set the PC5. Just a minute. Suppose you need to set a P5, PC5. Then in that case, what you have to do? So first, you need to put a 0 in the D7 bit. Then only it will work in bit setter reset mode. Okay, so that is what first D7 bit you have to set it to 0, and assume that actually we are not using these D6, D5, D4 pins in VSR mode. So treat it as 0. Okay, and you need to select PC5. Okay, so you need to select PC5. So for selecting PC5, this is the logic. You need to set D3 pin and D1 pin. So D2 pin will be 0. Okay, so you have to set D0 is equal to 1, and D2 is equal to 1, and D1 is also is equal to 1. Okay, then if you want to set the corresponding bit, okay, set the corresponding bit, what you have to do in D0, you need to place 1. Okay, you need to set the corresponding bit, you need to set 1 in the D0. So this is what I have written here. Okay, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. Okay, for selecting the fifth port, then set 1 for setting the PC5. Okay, actually this is a hexadecimal value corresponding to 0B. That means if you give 0B, if you load 0B value to the control word register, then it will set port PC5 line in the 8255 IC. Okay, it will be set PC5 line in the 8255 IC. Okay, so this is an example corresponding to the bit set reset mode. So this is what the bit set reset mode. Yeah, in this mode you need to remember the control word register format. Okay, and also that this bit set reset mode is only available for port C. Okay, it is only for port C. That means this bit, this Mode is used to set or reset the port C lines. Port C has 7 lines are there. So if you want to set or reset a particular line in the port C, you can use this bit set reset mode operation. So if you set corresponding, if you select the particular line and set the corresponding bit, then you can load the corresponding value to this control word register. Okay, so this is the control word register format for the bit set reset mode. First bit is 0. It will be always 0 in case of bit set reset mode. So that is D7 bit will be always 0. Then these 3 bits are not considering for bit set reset mode. D6, D5, D4, and D3, D2, and D1. These are used for selecting a particular line in the port C, and D0 is used to set or reset the corresponding line. Okay, so this is the explanation that I have explained in the previous slide. Okay, here is the example. So that's all about the bit set reset mode. Next, we can discuss the IO mode, or we will call it as input output mode. Okay. Here in 8255, for operating the IC, that is 8255 in input output mode, what you have to do is you need to set the D7th bit of control word register to 1. Okay, you need to load 1 to the D7 bit of control word register. Then only it will be operated in input output mode. Okay, if you put a 0 in the D7 bit, it will be operated in bit set reset mode. And if you want to say make it as an input output mode, you need to put a 1, or you need to load 1 to the D7th bit of the control word register. Okay, you need to load a 1 to the D7th bit of the control word register. Okay. Actually, we have discussed that in IO mode, it have 3 modes of operation. IO mode itself have 3 modes of operation. Okay, one we will call the mode 0, and this mode 0 we will call it as simple input output mode. Okay, mode 0 we will call it as simple input output mode, and mode 1, that is the next mode, that we will call it as strobed IO mode. Okay, strobed IO mode. And mode 2, it is strobed bidirectional IO. So these are the 3 IO mode operations of 8255 IC. Okay. Mode 0, it is simple IO mode. Mode 1, it is strobed IO mode. And mode 2, it is strobed bidirectional IO. Okay, so for selecting an input output mode, you need to set a D7 bit in the control word register. Then only it will operate in IO mode. Okay, if you put 0 in the D7 bit, it will be in the bit set reset mode operation. Okay, so this is the control word register format corresponding to the IO mode operation. Okay, so this is the control word format corresponding to the IO mode operation. Here you can see that D7 bit will be 1 in case of IO mode. Okay, D7 bit will be 1 in case of, it will always 1. If you are operating in the IO mode, so D7 bit will be always 1. Okay. Then next 2 bits, D6 and D5. Okay, so we will call it as group A mode selection bit. Group A mode selection bit. As we discussed that in group A, it can operate in 3 modes. Okay, either mode 0 or mode 1 or mode 2. Okay, group A can operate in 3 modes: mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. Okay, so for selecting that, you will use these 2 bits. D6 and D5 for selecting the corresponding mode. Okay, if both bits are 0, then it will be in mode 0. If first bit, that is D6 bit is 0 and D5 bit is 1, then it will be mode 1. And if D6 bit is 1 and the next bit, whatever it is don't care. That is, if it is either 0 or 1, whatever it is, it will be in mode 2. Okay, it will be in mode 2. So that is the next 2 bit, D6 and D5. These are group A mode selection bit. Okay. The next is D4. This one. Okay. Actually, this is a group A port A bit. That means if you want to make it input or output port, okay, you need to load corresponding value to this D4. Okay, if you load 1, then it will be in input mode. If you load 0, then it will be in output mode. Okay, then next is what? D3. Okay, D3. Actually, it is group A port C upper. That means it is used to set the port C upper bits either in input or output operations. Okay, port C upper. If you provide a value 1, then that will be input. If you provide a value 0, then that will be in output. Okay. So this is group A port A. Okay, for selecting this group A port A, and this is for selecting group A port C upper. Okay, so this is for selecting group A port C upper. And the next is D2. Okay, D2. This D2 bit is used for selecting group B mode of operations. Okay, in group B, it can operate in two modes, mode 0 and mode 1. Okay, for selecting the group B mode of operation, you will use this D3 bit. Okay, if you put 0 in the D3 bit, it will be in mode 0 operation. Okay, and if you put 1 or if you set the mode D2 bit, then it will be in mode 1 operation. Okay, it will be in mode 1 operation. And if you want to make it as input or output operation, you can use this D1 bit. D1 bit. Okay, in the control word register. That is, this D1 bit is used for group B port B. Okay, that means if you want to set the port B input or output communication, okay, you can use this register bit, D1 bit. Okay, if you set D1 is equal to 1, then it will be in input mode, and if you set D1 is equal to 0, then it will be in output mode. Okay, then last bit D0. So this is for port C lower. Okay, port C lower means port C belongs to group B. Okay, so port C lower belongs to group B. So it is group B port C lower. That means if you want to set its input or output communication, what you have to do, you just set D0 bit. If you want to make it in input port, you set, that is, you have to put 1 in the D0 bit. Then the port C lower bit will be for input communication. And if you set or reset, that means if you put 0 in the port C, D0 bit, then the group B port C lower part will be in an output mode. Okay, so these are the control word register format for 8255 IC. Okay, in case of IO mode operation. Okay, in case of IO mode operation, these are the control word register format. Okay, so 8 bits are there in this control word register. D1, D7, it will be always 1 in case of IO mode. D7 bit will be always 1 in case of IO mode. And D6 and 5 for group A mode selection. Okay, then D4 group A port A selected. Okay, then uh, uh, group D3, it is for selecting group A port C upper. Okay, then D3, it is used for selecting the modes of group B. Okay, the two modes are there in group B, D0, sorry, mode 0 and mode 1. And D1 for selecting the port B in group B for input or output operation. Okay, then D0, that is used for selecting port C lower in group B for input or output operations. Okay, so this is what I have written here. D0, D1, D3, D4 are assigned for port C lower, port B, and so for port C upper and port A respectively. When these bits are 1, the corresponding port acts as an input port. If these bits are 0, then corresponding port acts as an output port. And D2 is used for mode selection of group B. Okay, that means port B and port C lower. Okay, when D2 is equal to 0, mode 0 is selected, and when D2 is equal to 1, mode 1 is selected. Okay, and this is the input output mode for D5 and D6. Okay, as we have explained here, this one. Okay, same thing. That is, if D6 and DC5 both are 0, it will be in mode 0. Then 0, 1, it will be in mode 1. And 1 with the don't care, either 0 or 1, it will be in mode 2. Okay, so this is the control word register format, and also D7 bit always 1 in case of IO mode. Okay, this bit will be always 1 in case of IO mode. So this is the control word register format in our 8255 IO mode operations. Okay. This is an example. Suppose if port B upper and port C had to be initialized as an input port, and and lower port C and port A, we need to make it as a output port. So then what are all the value we had to load it in the control word register? Okay, so that is a question. So in that case, for any input output operation, you need to set a D7 bit is equal to 1. Okay, then for selecting particular mode, you need to use mode selection bits. Okay, so if you want to select the mode 0, then D2, D5, D6 all are we need to set as 0. And for selecting port B port B and upper port C, you should have to use these D1 and D3, that will be set to 1, and port A and lower port C, you have to set a D4 DC0, that is equal to 0. Okay, so this is an example. We can explain this example in details in the next class. Okay, so today we have explained about the different modes. In that we have discussed about the bit set, reset mode, control word register format, and IO mode. Different IO modes are there: 0, 1, 2, and the control word register format corresponding to that IO word also we have discussed. Okay, remaining things we can discuss in the next class. നമുക്ക് attendance എടുക്കാം. ആശിഷ് അനിൽ. Abhinav, Abhishek, Aditya, Aishwarya, Akhil CV, Akhil K, Amal Surendran, Amina, Anena, Anirudh, Anchita, Anuja, Anupama, Araman, Arpit, Arundat, Ashwin, Fasna, Fatimat Ramshada, Hridul, Jerish, Khadija, Likit, Liana, Mithun, Nasif, Rasi, Minaj, Nihal, Salih, Shafiq, Nabil, Nanda, Nandita, Nivedya, Prince, Nuha, Rishikesh, Riswin, Ritik, Rohit, Safil, Sankirtana, Sarang, Sejal, Shabin, Sevin, Shishaj, Dhanusri, Teja, Tulasi, Vaishnavi, Vaishnavi, Vishnu, Vaishnav, Yadav, Amal. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ബാക്കി അടുത്ത ക്ലാസ്സിൽ എടുക്കാം. താങ്ക് യു.